to the stage some members of our youth panel. So they're here to answer any number of questions that you might have. And we've asked them to be very honest, so I will pre-warn you on any questions that you ask. So please come to the stage, members of the youth panel. They're not as scary as they look, by the way. Okay, so if we start today's session then by, can I just ask each of you in turn just to spend 15 seconds just introducing yourselves would be great, please. So anyone can start.
My name is Benny Enzi. I'm a student at the University of Liverpool, a law student. I'm 21 years old.
Hi, I'm Vicky White. I'm a graphic design student at Leeds University.
I'm Johnny Seymour. I'm a sound engineer and I'm 23.
Hi, my name is Lewis. I'm here today on behalf of Youth Media Agency, but also run my own website called What's Good, and I'm 22 years old.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ollie. I'm 23 years old and I'm currently at law school.
Wonderful. So who would like to commence today's panel with a question then, please? Okay, we've got one at the back of the room, please. Thanks, Will.
Hi guys, thanks very much for coming along today. My name is William from studentbeans.com. Earlier today we heard kind of quite a few speakers, quite a few sessions kind of drawing a bit of a depressing light on the outlook of the future for today's youth, for today's young people, for you guys. Apparently you're all very depressed. Is that true? How did you guys feel about your futures and what the economy and the world kind of holds for you going forward?
Yes. No, I'm not depressed. It is, you can tell that the job market is more competitive. We're now having to deal with people who haven't gotten jobs from years above. But as common, you have to be a bit optimistic when you're looking at things, and we're still working hard. We got into university in the first place. So, no, I'm not really that depressed. You know, just living my life.
Yeah, I feel really lucky as a student because obviously I started before the course fees went up, and if I was in kind of the same position now, I think I kind of maybe would have rethought kind of the route I would have gone. But I also did kind of a year in industry as part of my course to make it 4 years. So from doing a year in industry, especially kind of with the creative kind of world, it's really important to kind of get that experience and get it on your CV. Because a lot of people on my course who haven't took a year out will be just going straight into industry with no experience, and I can imagine they're going to be starting in internships kind of unpaid, and maybe all they'll get is expenses kind of thing.
I wouldn't say we were depressed as a whole. I would say we're aware that people do think we are depressed, which I think we do find frustrating at times. And I think we feel sort of people do try to use that to market to us, even sort of subconsciously. And I think that irritates quite a lot of people.
I'm going to be a bit different. I'm not saying I'm depressed, but when we hear all these different things about young people being depressed, students being depressed, we can't speak on every single young person because everyone is different. What annoys me as a young person is the fact that, yes, there are going to be young people that are depressed, and there are going to be young people that are doing bad things. But it's the fact that it's highlighted way too much. There is so many positive young people out there. Me being one of them, I'm probably one of the most positive people I know. I'm a strong believer of The Secret. I don't know if any of you have heard of The Secret. If you haven't, then I can't tell you because it's a secret. But yeah, I'm a very positive person myself, so I don't believe in that at all. But I guess there are going to be some depressing people out there of all ages. But I just feel we need to stop highlighting that and focus a lot more on the people that are positive, because they are probably the majority.
I personally think it's quite a difficult time to be a student at the moment. I know I graduated from university last year, and everyone is looking for jobs, and it's very difficult. People are applying. there's competitive. I know that I was going into law and people were saying there's thousands of people applying for 30 places, and it's very difficult. And thankfully, I was lucky to get a job. But at law school at the moment, I'd say the majority of people don't actually have jobs whilst I'm there, and they're finding it very difficult. And there's people, because of the recession, because of there's a setback of people that haven't got jobs from previous years. So a lot of people are applying for the same jobs that weren't happening 10 years ago. So I think people are very aware of this, and there's less jobs to go for, which is making it very difficult. So whilst people are positive, they are very aware of the fact that there's a limited amount of jobs out there for them.
Thank you. Who else would like to ask a question? This one over at the side.
Hi guys, I'm Vicky from PDSA. I'm just interested to know, building on what you said about positivity, but also the economic situation, the pressure that you guys are under, what would inspire you to become engaged with the charity campaign, or what kind of charity marketing really stands out to you guys? Is there anything you've been inspired by or engaged by?
I think on campus there's a lot of ways to get involved in charity. I know I was at Nottingham University and they ran a campaign called 100 for 100. So they wanted to get 100 people to raise £100 each for charity. So it wasn't something saying, oh, I want you to go jumping out of a plane and you've got to raise £2,000, which isn't so realistic. It was this campaign where just 100 people to raise £100, which isn't that much money for yourself to raise, but so you know it was realistic for you, but together with 100 people, they raised £10,000. It was done over a month, and it raised a lot of money for charity, and also people were aware of it because there were a lot of people that were doing it, and I know it was something that was very effective on campus and got people engaged within charity.
For me personally, if it's a good cause and I believe in it, then I want to be a part of it. It doesn't even have to be a charity. It could be literally anything. Myself, one of my aims is to actually set up my own charity, so that will be in the pipeline. But yeah, it doesn't have to necessarily be a charity. I think a lot of people sort of just say the word charity because instantly you kind of know what it means, but I think the main thing is the fact that you believe it's a good cause, and that's exactly what I think. If it's a good cause, then I'm going to be involved.
Excellent. Okay, so let's have our next question.
How much time do you actually spend on your mobile phones, and how does social media actually influence you as consumers?
I'd say that I spend a lot of time on my mobile devices simply because you have emails, you have Facebook, you have Instagram. I don't use Twitter, but you have Twitter. So you spend a lot of time, and it influences you a great deal because Facebook's no longer the in thing, it's now a necessity. It's now where you're contacted by, the latest venue or the latest event or all of your friends or the like pages that you want to keep in contact with. And then you have, on your off times, you want to scroll through a couple of photos on Instagram. But yeah, we spend a lot of time on it, and it's a great way of kind of accessing us as opposed to the more serious side of emails.
I also think kind of earlier, one of the speakers said kind of about life documentation and how basically as young people now, we kind of feel the need to kind of tell everyone what we're doing, look better than someone else. If we've gone on holiday or we visited somewhere, we want to tell people about that and kind of have that kind of social status over other people. And I suppose it's kind of like with Facebook, if you post a status, kind of people will just constantly check that status to see how many likes, how many comments have got on it. And it's crazy in a way because it's just kind of like a popularity contest in social media, but with young people, I suppose that is kind of a trend, and people want to look kind of fashionable, they're doing the latest thing, and they want to talk about it and share it with their friends through every channel possible, really.
Yeah, I use my phone a lot, too much perhaps. And I really like the idea that what's on my screen can then be on the screen of someone else, a friend of mine, a colleague, within a second, which is brilliant. And I sort of, in a way, kind of, like nothing gets lost in translation. It's not a game of Chinese whispers. It's I see something I like, I want to say something, someone sees exactly what I see, or someone reads exactly as I've written it. And I think that's massively important, in my opinion.
Okay, lovely. So we've got one, I'd like to just add a question from Twitter at this point, and then I'll come straight to you. So we've got from Ernst & Young via Twitter, we'd like to know what gets your interest and what switches you off in advertising campaigns for brands.
Personally, I love experiential marketing. I just think young people now are just kind of bombarded by every channel possible. Like, there's ads just everywhere. And it's not really engaging, it's just kind of there and you see it. There's no conversation between you and the brand, whereas kind of brand activations in the street or kind of even kind of online activations, you're actually creating a conversation with a brand and you can tell them that your opinion and they can also kind of give back to you. And like if it's a brand activation in the street, you maybe get a sample of a product and then you'll then spread kind of your opinion on that through word of mouth, which is kind of a big thing, I suppose, with young people as well. If you hear something from your friend, you're more likely to buy it than if you just see a post on Facebook.
I'd say personally, it's more like I want the advertisement to be straight to the point, because a lot of times there's a lot of wackiness, maybe like they've gone crazy with Microsoft Paint and you can't actually see where the prices are or what the product's actually selling. That's a good start. And you have to remember that students are doing a million different things at once while the movie's going, they're on their Instagram. They want something that they instantly know what the product is, what the price is, and whether or not they can spend their last £5 to buy it.
That's a great point.
I think I like doing something now. The idea where it was like us on Facebook and in return you get this, which was great for a while. But absolutely every brand, every company under the sun is now giving you something in return for just clicking a link. And it's boring. And you see people like Lynx who are like, make us a video about why you should go into space. And it's actually like, I want to make a video explaining why I want to go into space. That's fun. And it used to be, I think, a couple of years ago that people wanted to do as little as possible to get something in return. But now I think people are quite up for doing something.
That's a great insight.
Can I just talk on a different sort of side, because obviously I have my own website, so I kind of need the advertising.
Thanks for the honesty on that one. That's fine.
But I still feel the same. I think I can't remember who said it earlier. I think it was Matt from Rough Hill. I'm not even sure, but he said something about basically having to earn the trust and make more of an effort to promote or market or advertise to a young person, and it's like really true. Obviously, everyone in here has probably got emails and gets emails, and everyone probably knows, like, when you get an email and it's addressed to you. You don't know the person, but it's addressed to you. It feels so much more personal, rather than just saying hi there, blah 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 blah. If it says your name, you feel a lot more personal, and I feel with adverts, they need to be a lot more personal to the young person. Doing an advert on Beyonce or talking about Beyonce, fair enough, she's popular and you're going to get people's interest because she is popular. But the more unknown people behind the scenes and all the rising stars, up-and-coming artists and everyone like that young people know about, they should be highlighted as well, because it really will make a difference to that young person, because they feel that the brand understands them. And I feel like just saying Beyonce, Jay-Z or Lady Gaga, fair enough, it's going to get some people's attention. But really knowing about what a young person is interested in, what they're listening to on their iPods, what they're talking about amongst their peers, I think it will really make a difference. And that's what we try to do for my site. So advertorials, I mean, we just done interviews and we've done a lot of work with E4's Youngers, which is a new show on E4, which we've done interviews behind the scenes and everything like that. And that was effectively advertising, but because it was done in a way that was attractive, young people was interested in it, they were going to watch it anyway. It's a lot more natural, and I think there should be a lot more of that in the future.
Okay, great. We're going to just grab a question from the back of the room, please.
With the amount of free entertainment available to you at all times, online, through social, obviously, which forms of entertainment do you still consider worth spending your precious money on, and why?
I'd say live shows, and gigs and events, because you can't substitute experiencing something that's 4D, where you're using absolutely all your senses. For everything from the cinema to the to music, there is a way that students can get it free. I'm not saying I do it, but I'm just saying there's a way that students can get it free, and they, more often than not they will do that. But when it comes to actually leaving the house, we would like to go and see someone live, and we will pay a considerable amount of our money, even if it's the last piece of money we have to get it.
Yeah, I'd definitely say kind of festivals are a big kind of push with students, like in the summer. It's a great kind of group activity, and it's that live experience that you can't get anywhere else, basically. I'm also a big lover of quality, and I really love TV series, so I'll buy like box sets of Mad Men or Breaking Bad, but that's just a personal thing.
I think it's something that where you can create a social aspect out of it as well, because as I said, you can get loads of things online. But if a film's come out and they're doing it in an open air theatre, and I'm going to go with my friends, and it's all the added extras, I think, that kind of will draw people in, because as I said, you can get the film online, but what's going to pull me, what's going to be different from watching it in bed on my computer? So I think that's the difference.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay, we've got a question at the back of the room.
Hi, Sam from Skadoosh. I was listening to Radio 4, which will tell you my age, which said that Generation X was fairly rebellious. You know, you had punks, you had raves. Generation Y had street marches, we did Band-Aid things. Generation Z, which is asleep, which is your generation, the worst thing you can do today is tweet or unlike something or wait for a freebie. Are you just a walking billboard for sale?
Well, there's a question. Who wants to take that first?
No.
No, there you go. Do you want to expand on that a bit more?
No, because we're actually we're very active. As in, if we want something bad enough, we will go for it. But the difference is we have the world at our fingertips. There's a lot, like with the information age now, the internet and the rise of social media and all these different newfangled technologies means that we don't actually have to get up or move if we don't want to. But if it's something that we feel we should invest our time in, as in, you know, maybe going to the cinema as a group or going to an event on the Friday with like 20 people, that's when we'll now make the effort. But it's not the days when you had to run to the kitchen to pick up the phone because it wasn't cordless or things like that. Times have changed.
Right answer.
I think sort of the phrasing of what you said was on Radio 4 the other day. It kind of suggests that we're to blame because older generations are refusing to adapt to the way we do things, which I think is unfair. And I think one of the advantages we have now is we have a lot of choice, so much choice that if your service isn't doing it for us, then there's a service that started up 5 minutes ago that is. And when they stop, there'll be someone else. And we don't like that this company is having adverts, so a new one pops up and they don't have the adverts. And I think that's sort of why it's an important issue, really. It's that things move so fast that you need to, that whatever you do, someone can replace you. And I think that's why our generation perhaps seems fairly complacent about that. It's because actually we do expect someone to come along and do it better. And that's because people continuously do. And I don't know if we're to blame for that as such. Maybe.
That's a good thing. Does anybody else want to tackle that one? No? Okay, cool. We've got lots more questions waiting, so you're fine. So we've got a question just in the middle of the room, please.
Yeah, I was just wondering, would you say that your purchasing is more driven by price and what you can afford, or are you driven by what's socially acceptable and what you deem to be cool and the right brands to buy into?
I think there's a mix between the two there, because I do think society at the moment kind of does dictate what students do, what the youth does. There's so many sites that tell you what you should be wearing, what you shouldn't be wearing, what should be happening, what's cool, what's not. You only have to open the papers. I'm just looking on the metro on the train to see what's hot, what's not, those kind of things of celebrities. But there's also a big factor of it is the pricing and what you can afford. But as was said on the panel before, it only takes one company to say, oh, this is going to be fashionable, this £100, I'm going to create it for £50, and someone else is going to create it for £20. So you do see kind of from society what you should be wearing, and then it's a matter of waiting, because it's only so long until a cheaper thing's going to be created that looks similar.
Okay, excellent. So we'll have one more question, I think, before we wrap up this panel session. So we've got one just at the back of the room, please. Thanks.
Hi there, Emma from Drinkware. I just wondered, going back to kind of the social world, that obviously, like you said, it's a bit of a personality context. You know, you have to kind of keep trying to be better. I guess my question is sort of on the other side of it, that if, you know, for example now, especially kind of on a night out, if you get photos up there that make you look bad, and especially kind of with recently this girl up north with the police issue, how do you kind of feel about that, and how do you police it almost yourselves? Because if somebody puts a negative picture up of you, you know, drunk on a night out, or, you know, doing something that you don't want to be seen as, kind of how do you deal with that in your communities to stop that affecting you? And does it bother you?
I think you've kind of just got to trust your friends, really. I don't know, it's a hard one. If someone you trust kind of puts a photograph of you up on Facebook, I'm sure if you ask them, they'd hopefully take it down. But I suppose it is the whole privacy thing of all your information is on there, anything can go on, and you have actually no control over it. You can be tagged in any picture unless you change the settings, I suppose, on Facebook to confirm the tags. Otherwise, it just suddenly appears on your wall, and you could go, well, maybe not for all of us, but it could be like 24 hours before you even see something that's on there. And by that time, I mean, on average, I'd say people our age now have about 900 friends on Facebook to 1,000 friends. I mean, that's exposure to nearly 1,000 people of something that you just obviously don't want anyone to see.
I think that you have to have like thicker skin, because if you let a lot of these things and a lot of the photos you don't like bother you a bit too much, then it will kind of ruin your life. But as opposed to just asking politely, you know, updating your privacy settings so like the immediate people can't see it, and then asking politely to have it taken down, and obviously being mindful when you're on a night out, you know, not drinking too much, as you know, hard as that may be. But yeah, that's pretty much it, being more mindful and, you know, just having thicker skin.
Fantastic. I've got one final question to wrap up the panel for each of you to answer. So what's your favourite brand and why?
Oh, should I start? Okay. I'd say my favourite brand would be probably Nike. And the reason why I'd say it is because, not because they're everywhere, but because they have the most attire and for like the student occasion. So they have the jogging bottoms for when I want to be in the house, or they have the gym gear, or they have things for when I'm going to lectures and stuff. They may not have anything for what I try to wear today, but you know, they have for about 70% of what students need to wear, they cover it, and essentially that's what you're looking for. But you know, I'm sure in about 2, 3, 4 years' time, well, hopefully it'll be like Armani or Dolce & Gabbana. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you.
I'm sorry, but I'm kind of jumping on the bandwagon of this morning, but my favourite brand is actually Red Bull, and it just is kind of, I just see it as the ultimate lifestyle brand. It just has that adventure and experience, and it's just kind of the aspiration of what you want to do. Like, they do different events which you can be involved with, you can watch them, they integrate kind of everything possible, and yeah, let's go with that.
At the moment, mine would be Bestival, which is a music festival held in the Isle of Wight each year. I think it has the perfect mix of sort of the commercial aspect of how wide the audience it can appeal to, yet everyone seems to think it has this independent integrity at the same time, which I think is sort of very hard to do. And recently they did, they know their audience is a lot of young people, a lot of students who don't have a lot of money, so they say, pay for your ticket for £12 a week for 15 weeks, which is brilliant to give sort of people, young people, sort of that trust, that finance, they can do this. And that I know has inspired many of my friends who were sort of on the fence about whether or not to go, to actually go ahead and do it. And they seem to sort of actually care about us in a way.
A great example.
I'm going to say Red Bull. And the only reason I'm going to say Red Bull is because I don't believe in brand loyalty. Everyone always says, everyone's going to be like hating me after this, but everyone always says that there's always one brand that you're loyal to. But I don't think that's true. I always think it's down to you believe more in the people behind it and the influences behind it. So usually everyone has a favourite football team and they say they're loyal to the team. But the reason they probably like the team is because their dad liked it in the first place or they liked one of the players. If you're not from Manchester and you like Manchester United, how much would you still love them if Alex Ferguson went to Chelsea? A lot of people will change as well because they like him, not necessarily the brand. And I think it's the same. Apple is one of my favourite brands, but it's because I've got those Apple products and they've tied me in so far that I can't come out. I mean, the amount of money I've spent on apps and everything, like I would have to change my whole lifestyle if I went over to Google. So I think it's more down to everything around you. And because I've heard so much about Red Bull today, they're my favourite at the moment, but just because they must be doing something good.
Very good. You just made our jobs a lot harder, by the way, by saying you're not loyal to a brand.
Brand loyalty does not exist, remember.
That's a closing statement for you, okay.
I'd probably say that my favourite brand is Apple, purely because I've got the products and they're very easy to use, they're very trustworthy, they've got the Genius Bar there so that you can always know they're there to help you if you have a problem, which a lot of other products don't have that. And yeah, they're very good.
Fantastic, great example. Okay, so thank you, guys. We finished with the panel session.